Hi, welcome to Healthy Homesteading Adventures. I'm Tamara. This is January 19, 2024, but what I'm going to share with you today took place in 2013. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the code violations that I got from Shasta County, and that's the Resource Management in Northern California, which is in the city of Redding. I'm going to be sharing with you those violations and the ways that I handled it. The first way is not so good, and it was a way to get around it, being trying to do it the Patriot way, if you've ever heard of that. You know, the kind of patriots that don't pay their taxes and don't want any regulations from government. So my husband had done that, and that's the way we were going to handle it. But I'm not going to share that until the very end of the video, so that those of you who want to hear about it, I'll read some of the stuff. But for the first part, I'm going to share what the violations were and how I determined to start fixing them. All right, let's get started. So there are some of these details I cover in my blog on healthyhomesteadingadventures.com, and I will put the link in the description. But I will add a little bit more detail, and sometimes it's fun just hearing me describe it. So what happened was, one of my dear neighbors thought that the property line came down to my driveway. I've mentioned this in a previous video. She had the land across from my driveway, so she thought. But it was not so according to the surveyor map. But that's what she thought. And so my husband had decided that he was going to try to make a path with the tractor up to put the water tank. And so he started grading with our little tractor, trying to make a path, a little road, and it didn't work out, and he quit. But in the meantime, she saw this. She saw the activity, and she's like, "That's my property." So she thought, what can I do? And so she went to down to the County Resource Management and said that we were grading without a permit. All right, so then they dispatched an inspector to come out and check out what was going on here on this property. So I was at work, and my husband was here, and this inspector showed up, and he told the inspector that he didn't have right to be here, that he was disputing his claim to be here, and put in an objection. And the inspector said he had the right to be here, and they argued about it. And then my husband said, "No, you don't," and he pulled out his gun and held it in the palm of his hand and said, "This says that you have to leave." And so the inspector's like, "Oh, this guy pulled a gun on me," so he leaves. Then I get a call at work. My husband is panicking, saying that he's afraid that the police are going to come, and he tells me what he did, and I need to come home right away so that he has a car for a getaway. I told him, no, that's not possible. I have patients to see still. I'm a PT assistant, and I've seen my patients. And so he ended up calling police and finding out if he had done something terrible, and they said he was in his rights and it was okay. So he stopped panicking. Okay, so then the county guy went and got a warrant to be able to come and search the property. And I think the police might have come with him. But no one was here when he came, so he had free reign of the property to see what was a violation of their codes. So we got this notice on, it says it was left on the RV door, our copy. And it said, "This property is in violation of several county ordinances, including grading without a permit, discharge of sewage to ground surface, and unpermitted use of a generator. Contact this office immediately to discuss how all violations mentioned will be corrected. Failure to correct all violations within 30 days may result in enforcement action being taken." Okay, that was not exactly I guess they like to have you permit your generator. But then they didn't put that on the next list. The most important thing was to say that our sewage was out. Well, we were putting the gray water out onto the trees. That's your water from your sink, from washing the dishes, and from taking a shower. And so we thought, we'll water the trees, you know. But to them, that's like, it's not safe. That date was on September 10, 2013. And the next one we got was December 10, 2013. Second notice of violation, unpermitted sewage disposal system, grading without a permit. And it says on September 10, 2013, Shasta County Environmental Health investigated a complaint pertaining to grading without a permit on the above referenced parcel. During the inspector's site visit, several code violations were observed, including grading without a permit and discharge of raw sewage to the ground surface. Raw sewage. It was just water from and I don't know why they'd say that, but the inspector generated a handwritten notice of violation during the inspection and left a copy of the notice on site. To date, it appears that neither the grading nor septic violations have been properly abated. If you've watched the previous video, I'll put the link in the description. We already had put in a septic tank, a septic system with a sump pump, and it wasn't permitted, so this is what they're upset about. They don't know that it's there. Releasing sewage to the ground surface is a violation of the State Health and Safety Code and Shasta County Ordinance, unlawful sewage disposal, and that's creating a public nuisance. And then grading without a permit is a violation. So they didn't even see the grading across the street where the neighbor was complaining. They saw that, oh, you put up a building, you had to have graded that, and then the whole driveway, you had to have graded that, and if you put in pipes, that's grading. So, the driveway was already here when we got here. And it says a permitted sewage disposal system must be installed. Wastewater sewage must not be allowed to reach ground surface. All wastewater must be directed to a permitted and functioning septic tank and leach lines approved by this division. A sewage disposal permit application was received on September 16, 2013, but additional information that was requested in a letter dated October 2, 2013 has not been received. A copy of this letter has been enclosed for your reference. All requested information must be submitted without delay, and a new sewage disposal system shall be installed by January 11, 2014. Wow, doesn't that sound scary? Failure to meet the specified timeline may be cause for legal action. A notice of noncompliance may be recorded against the property. Due to the extreme health and safety risk that open sewage presents, additional enforcement action may be taken, including nuisance abatement. Finally, based on the inspector's observations, a recreational vehicle is currently used as residence on the property. The use of RVs as permanent residence is illegal in Shasta County and is in violation of code section, and then they give it illegal habitation of RV on private property. The RV must be disconnected from all utilities and vacated immediately. Alright, sounds pretty scary. To deal with the gray water situation temporarily, my husband dug a deep hole and just directed the water into that pipe, through a pipe into the hole. That's when he decided that, we wanted to make things right as much as possible, but he didn't like them telling him what to do and everything, so that's when we put that paperwork in. But in the meantime, they sent out this list. Here's another list. And it says the above described property may not comply with Shasta County Code sections because they added this one: building a structure or installing a mobile home without building permit. Grading without a permit, illegal habitation of RV on private property, sewage disposal without a permit, unlawful sewage disposal open to air. So the sewage disposal without a permit, I guess they knew that we had the septic system, but it wasn't permitted. Public nuisance, illegal burn barrel full of garbage. My husband was burning paper, and that's illegal here. And abandoned vehicles. Abandoned vehicles. just because we were gone to town, any car left here was considered an abandoned vehicle. My son's car, and then we had another car. It's ridiculous. That's basically all the permits. So I started working on things here on the property, but I waited a few months and didn't actually go to the county to take care of this for quite a while. And I'm not sure the date that I went, but I started worrying that I didn't want to deal with having to go to court with all this paperwork that my ex had done. Surely they were going to take me to court on that. I didn't know for sure. He thought I was safe and good to go, but I decided that I was going to work with the county. So I went in and asked to speak to the inspector. He had me go to a cubicle to speak with him. And we looked over the list, and I explained several things, and he told me what I needed to do and where I needed to start. He told me he had talked to my neighbors in the area and asked about me, and they said I was really nice, because when my husband pulled that gun on him, he just wondered about it. And he also, kind of thought he was a nut for the paperwork that he sent in and the way he treated him. So I told him I was sorry for that, and he saw that I was nice, and he told me that, I shouldn't be staying in my motorhome, and I said, well, what do you think, that should I be homeless then, and how am I going to work on the property if I don't have a place to stay, and, so he decided that it wasn't so great for me to be homeless, so he said, look, if you just start working on the permits, then that'll be good, and, start working on everything on there, and then we start marking it off. That was in 2014. Here we are in 2023. And I'm going to just be taking you through this journey and sharing with you how I went through this process of making things right with the county. So the next video will be about how I put in the correct septic system. Okay, so for the rest of you who want to hear about this funny paperwork that I put in and want to hear it, then you can stay. And those who don't care to hear it, bye, and I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Okay, this is really different. I mean, I'm not going to photograph it and put it on. I think I will, but I'll just read some of it for you so you can get an idea. It was put to the Superior Court of California, County of Shasta. Notice of warrant issued in error. It was given to the judge of the Superior Court of County of Shasta. And I won't give any names. And I won't be giving the name of the inspector. I'll just say inspector. The inspector from the Shasta County Department of Resource Management did enter upon the property of the aggrieved defendant on or about the 18th day of December 2013. Upon entry, the inspector was immediately told that he was on private property, which is sovereign, that he was trespassing, and was then repeatedly ordered to leave or show proof of jurisdiction. When the inspector failed repeatedly to show proof of jurisdiction, he was given a final order to leave and not come back, without fact, law, and evidence proving his propria personam jurisdiction over the aggrieved defendant and her property. Being me, because it's in my name. Apparently, the inspector then appeared before you in your official capacity in order to perpetrate a fraud in the matter as presented to you, apparently for the purpose of obtaining a warrant by subterfuge, and thus impose unlawful jurisdiction upon the aggrieved defendant. Wherein the inspector again entered upon the property without consent, and this time accompanied by sheriff's deputies, as indicated on the alleged warrant, issued 12/23/13, and time of 1500 p.m., and apparently signed by you, the judge, who is designated as judge of the Superior Court. The aggrieved defendant was not present at the time of this second trespass. It is my belief and understanding that because you, in your official capacity, would not purposely or knowingly violate your oath of office, that the inspector apparently omitted before you the fact that jurisdiction was challenged. So therefore, the aggrieved defendant presently holds the judge harmless and not accountable for the multiple rights infringements perpetrated by the inspector against the aggrieved defendant in this matter. Please see the enclosed documents already issued to the Shasta County Department of Resource Management. Warning and notice of intent, affidavits of truth, affidavits of challenge of jurisdiction, and also enclosed is a courtesy copy of the alleged inspection warrant. Please note self-executing nature where documented, and that time for the county's rebuttal has expired. A notice of default and a 3-day notice to cure default will now be served. A failure to cure the default will result in a final notice of default. Notice of acceptance of constitutions and oath of office. The organic constitutions for the United States of America and for the state of California and the oath of office of the above-named public servant amounts to nothing more than an offer of an intention to act or refrain from acting in a specified way between the respective governments and private American people and for other purposes. Be it known by these presents that I, and then it's got my name, Tamara, of the House of, and then my husband's last name, do hereby, but I was legally still under my previous husband's name, do hereby accept the organic constitutions of the United States of America for the state of California and the oath of office of the above-named public servant as your open and binding offer of promise to form a firm and binding contract between the respective governments, their political instrumentalities, and the above-named public servant. In my private capacity, I expect that as a public servant, you will perform all your promises and stay within the limitations of your constitutions, create no unfounded presumptions, seek only the true facts, and tell the truth at all times, and respect and protect my right of personal liberty and private property and all rights antecedent thereto. The foregoing notice of acceptance of constitutions and of oath of office is made explicitly without recourse, and now constitutes a binding contract, and any deviation therefrom will be treated as a breach of contract and a violation of substantive due process. And that's followed by a writ of estoppel. I don't know, sorry if you can't see it. The County of Shasta Department of Resource Management is hereby ordered to stop all actions against Tamara of the House of, my ex's last name, and stop all actions against the property designated as, and then an APN number, until the matter of challenged jurisdiction is settled. Failure of the County of Shasta Department of Resource Management to lawfully satisfy the demands for fact, law, and evidence proving jurisdiction to be a fact of the law within the allotted time frame, stipulated in the warning and notice of intent, affidavit of truth, and affidavit of challenge of jurisdiction already served, precludes any further action against the aggrieved defendant and property designated herein. In the case of final default stipulated in the aforementioned documents, the County of Shasta Department of Resource Management is commanded to stop all actions against the aggrieved defendant and the property designated herein, and never again purpose to enter upon aforementioned property without prior certified consent from the owner forever. Furthermore, the Shasta County Recorder Auditor is commanded to record this and related documents and retain as permanent records forever upon presentments. That's interesting, isn't it? Then there's this Contracts by Farnsworth, 3rd edition. I am not going to read that, but I thought that some of you might find that interesting. I don't know what all those other papers were that were filed. I don't think I have copies of them, but you really got to know your stuff if you're going to do that. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching to the end. Be sure to like it and hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks. Bye-bye.